Gangstar Mirage City has plenty of weapons to choose from, but which ones are actually worth using? In this video, we're ranking all the weapons in Gangstar Mirage City from the absolute best to the ones you should probably leave in the shop, based on their overall performance, versatility, and how useful they are in different combat situations. Whether you're taking on a heist, fighting rival gangs, escaping the police, or just causing some chaos around the city, having the right weapon can make a huge difference. So, we're going through the entire Gangstar Mirage City weapons roster and placing every weapon into its proper tier. Some guns are incredibly powerful and can handle almost anything you throw at them, while others are much more situational or simply get outclassed by better options. If you're wondering which weapons are worth spending your hard-earned money on and which ones you should skip, this tier list should make that decision a whole lot easier. Let's get into it and see which weapons truly deserve the top spots. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking weapons in Gangstar Mirage City. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Left Alone, Shadowcaster, and the Reverend. And then we have the weapons that make you think, well, at least they're here. First up is Shadowcaster, which is actually a pretty comfortable weapon to control, so it can work nicely as a backup option, especially if you are still getting used to the game. The problem is that once you start getting access to better pistols, Shadowcaster quickly starts feeling like the weapon you bring along because you forgot to upgrade. Its range and damage simply cannot keep up with the stronger options, making it a pretty limited choice in the long run. The Reverend is a little more dangerous, but unfortunately, that danger is not always reserved for your enemies. It can deal decent damage when you manage to control its recoil, but that recoil can turn sustained firing into a small battle of its own. If your aim is not on point, you will be sending bullets everywhere except where you actually want them, which means more missed shots and more wasted ammunition. It is usable, but you definitely need some recoil control before the Reverend starts feeling comfortable. Finally, we have Left Alone, an SMG that is quite friendly when it comes to recoil, making it a good weapon for learning the basic SMG playstyle. However, once again, the problem is what comes after it. Left Alone does not have the magazine capacity or range advantages that some of the stronger SMGs bring to the table, and there are simply better alternatives waiting for you. So, it is not a terrible weapon by any means. But if you are building a serious loadout in Gangstar Mirage City, Left Alone is probably going to be one of the first weapons you leave alone. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Buzzsaw, Grim Reaper, Thunderstrike, and Watchtower. If C tier was where the weapons started making excuses, B tier is where things finally get serious. Thunderstrike is a great example of that. Its high fire rate lets you keep the pressure on during close quarter fights, and the large magazine means you can keep firing without constantly stopping to reload. That said, it still falls behind the stronger pistols when it comes to range and damage. So while Thunderstrike can definitely hold its own, it is more of a reliable workhorse than the pistol you build your entire loadout around. Watchtower takes a different approach, giving you solid stopping power at close to mid-range while also offering impressive range. That makes it a pretty dependable choice when enemies decide they would rather fight from a distance. The catch is that it does not have the same versatility as the strongest assault rifles, especially when a fight starts bouncing between different ranges. Still, if you want a weapon that can comfortably handle enemies from a distance without making things too complicated, Watchtower gets the job done. Then there is Buzzsaw, which is basically the weapon equivalent of bringing a sledgehammer to a group project. It deals explosive damage at any distance, making it particularly useful when enemies are conveniently standing close together and asking to be introduced to the blast radius. Its balanced attributes also make it fairly easy to combine with other weapons, but outside of situations where you need to clear grouped enemies, its usefulness drops quite a bit. It is powerful in the right moment, but those moments do not happen in every firefight. And finally, Grim Reaper is probably the friendliest shotgun you can pick up as a beginner. It offers decent range while still doing what a shotgun is supposed to do, absolutely ruin someone's day when they get too close. It is especially useful in missions where enemies are constantly being forced into close quarter combat, where its strengths really start to shine. Just remember that Grim Reaper is not going to suddenly become a sniper rifle, because its damage drops off over longer distances. Keep the fights close, and this shotgun can be a very dependable part of your arsenal. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Grappler, Punk Tactics, Kingpin, Headhunter, Howler, All Reliable, TKO, and Noise Pollution. Now we are getting into the weapons that can make a bad situation look surprisingly manageable. Old Reliable earns its name by delivering a high fire rate and strong pressure from close to medium range while still maintaining solid damage at medium distances. That extra flexibility makes it much more useful than many SMGs that completely fall apart once enemies move away from you. The only real problem is that its damage does not quite reach the ridiculous levels of the S-tier weapons, so it is reliable, but not exactly legendary. Punk Tactics is basically built for players who hear close range combat and immediately run toward the nearest enemy. Its high fire rate makes it excellent for aggressive pushes, especially in tight areas where enemies have nowhere to run and create distance. Unfortunately, that same strength becomes a weakness when the battlefield opens up. Once enemies start spreading out, its short range really limits what it can do, so this is definitely a weapon that wants you fighting up close and personal. Headhunter takes a more balanced approach and does not rely on one specific situation to be useful. Its high fire rate gives it plenty of pressure, while its overall performance makes it a strong choice across a variety of encounters. It also works extremely well as the main weapon in a flexible loadout, which is a big advantage if you do not want to constantly swap weapons depending on the situation. The downside is that it does not have a special feature that completely separates it from the strongest assault rifles, but sometimes being consistently good is better than being spectacular once every 3 business days. Noise pollution is another weapon that fully embraces the shoot first, ask questions never philosophy. Its high fire rate creates serious pressure during close range fights and makes it a fantastic SMG for players who enjoy fast, aggressive combat. The catch is the recoil. Outside of its preferred range, keeping this thing under control can become a lot harder, and your bullets may start exploring the environment instead of the enemy. Keep the fights close though, and noise pollution can be extremely effective. Howler is where things get especially interesting for shotgun fans. It deals exceptional damage while reaching farther than most basic shotguns, giving aggressive players a little more freedom during close range encounters. That extra range is a huge help when you want to stay aggressive without having to practically hug every enemy. However, it still struggles when targets are genuinely far away, so its performance can become inconsistent if the fight moves outside its comfort zone. Get close, pull the trigger, and let Howler do the talking. Kingpin brings some serious firepower to the table thanks to its very high fire rate, allowing you to dish out more damage every second when you can stay on target. What makes it even better is that its recoil is significantly easier to manage compared with its LMG counterpart, Skin to Bone. That makes Kingpin much more comfortable to use, but there is one major trade-off: mobility. Repositioning can be difficult during fast-moving fights, so you need to think ahead before planting yourself somewhere and turning into a very heavily armed statue. TKO gives sniper players a slightly more active way to play. Its high fire rate allows for faster follow-up shots than slower sniper options, which is great if you like staying involved instead of patiently waiting for one perfect shot. The problem is that all that speed comes with some serious recoil, making repeated precision shots harder to land consistently. So if you have a steady aim and can manage the kick, TKO can be deadly. If not, you might end up doing more warning shots than actual sniping. And finally, we have Grappler, a rocket launcher that clearly did not get the memo about playing it safe. It delivers heavy damage over long distances, making it excellent for blowing up vehicles or eliminating distant targets, and the large magazine is a huge bonus for a rocket launcher. Of course, carrying all that firepower comes with a price: reduced mobility. Repositioning becomes more difficult, and that can leave you exposed when enemies start moving quickly. Still, when you need something big, loud, and capable of turning a car into a memory, Grappler is an easy A-tier choice. The weapons in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Chlorine, Left 4 Dead, Money Shot, Starburster, Skin to Bone, and Frostbite. And here we are at the point where the weapons stop asking for permission and start solving problems. Frostbite earns its S tier spot with heavy long-range damage, making it an excellent choice when your loadout is missing some serious reach. It also complements close-range weapons perfectly, giving you the ability to cover enemies from a distance instead of running toward every target like you have somewhere to be. When accuracy matters and you need a dependable backup weapon, Frostbite is a seriously strong option. Left 4 Dead is all about keeping the pressure on and refusing to let the enemy breathe. Its high fire rate makes it extremely effective during extended firefights, especially when you can keep its recoil under control. That makes it a fantastic choice for aggressive players who want to deal continuous damage instead of waiting around for the perfect opportunity. Master the recoil, stay on target, and Left 4 Dead can turn a firefight into a very short conversation. Chlorine might not be the most flashy weapon in the game, but that is exactly what makes it so reliable. It offers balanced performance across different combat situations and fits naturally into versatile late-game loadouts. Its steady recoil and consistent fire rate also make it easy to control, particularly when you are trying to dominate the mid-range. It does not need any complicated strategy, just point it at the problem and keep applying pressure. Sometimes boring is actually brilliant. Starbuster is the weapon you want when the game decides that one enemy simply is not enough. Its large magazine lets you maintain pressure without constantly stopping for reloads, while its sustained fire rate makes it especially effective during prolonged fights. When several enemies show up at once, Starbuster can keep firing long enough to make the entire situation considerably less stressful. It may not be the most subtle weapon in your arsenal, but subtlety is overrated when you have a large magazine. Money Shot is made for players who would rather make one devastating shot than turn every firefight into a fireworks display. Its high damage rate makes accurate long-range shots incredibly rewarding, giving precision-focused players a powerful alternative to close-range weapons. It also fills the dedicated long-range role extremely well in balanced loadouts, allowing you to deal with distant targets before they become a problem. If your aim is reliable, Money Shot makes every well-placed shot feel like money well spent. And finally, Skin to Bone brings the full LMG experience to S tier. Its large magazine allows you to maintain sustained fire against multiple enemies, making it excellent for holding an area or surviving prolonged firefights. What really separates it from many other weapons is its ability to deal damage over long distances despite being an LMG, letting you spray down enemies even when they are not exactly standing next to you. The recoil may demand some discipline, but when you need to lock down an area and make sure absolutely nobody gets comfortable, Skin to Bone gets the job done. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.